key to going through life in a state of equipoise is equalization of one's own pressure, dimensional pressure, and the pressure in the environment and the external space around them. I'm covering some more deep stuff. I'm pretty sure you all saw an introductory on lasers and different wavelengths and all of this. So I'm getting into a little bit deeper stuff that we often cover. Yet this stuff is so key, because if you understand what's happening on planet Earth right now, then all these different symptoms. And let me say one more thing, because this is so key. I read this article recently, and it had a huge effect on it. It was a really powerful article, and it was basically talking about the change that the glands go through, typically in early 40s, for men and women. In women it's called perimenopause into menopause. For men, they don't really describe it so much, but it's the same thing. It's basically your glands resetting after the first phase of your life. And it resets, the glands shift, and then a different neurohormone compound situation happens in your experience. Well, they're now saying that this transition is happening to people as young as 29 years old due to all the EMF and Wi-Fi and smart meters, all this stuff going on, all these outer stresses, looking at phones. It's stressing out the adrenals and the cortisol levels so much. It's throwing off testosterone in men. It's throwing off estrogen in women. People are becoming estrogen dominant. So there's this whole sequence of what happens in the glands when this imbalance happens, and or when people are at the moment in their life where they're going through this transition. And the symptoms include things like migraines, chronic pain, achiness, insomnia, extra emotions, people feeling really stressed. There's so many, aging happening, the brain not working properly. There's all these different symptoms that so many people are dealing with, and I'm kind of lately making the connect that what's happening is people's glands are going through a huge transition, and not a lot of people are threading this up. And so my goal, the third key place I work, is the occipital ridge, the ridge line between the ears. I'm on Activate. I went back to Activate. You see which one works good for you. Right away, put me in Stillpoint. And the key to doing this at the occipital ridge is that unwinding the occipital ridge is where the vagus nerve comes out. The vagus nerve, when the occipital, my background's in cranial work, and so cranial sacral therapy, and so when I learned cranial work and I discovered unwinding the occipital ridge, you can change someone's whole condition by unwinding this ridge between the ears, 2 to 3 inches between the ears. Why? Because the vagus nerve, the key nerve in your body, the vagus nerve is the key parasympathetic nerve in your body. It governs your breathing, it governs your digestion, it governs your circulation, it governs your pulse, it governs your organs, it governs your heart. It basically is the symphony conductor that governs your physiology. When you're relaxed and at ease. When you're stressed, adrenaline locks up. When people get adrenaline, the TMJ gets tight, it clamps the vagus nerve, the occipital ridge gets tight, the vagus nerve gets compressed, and all the cranial nerves shut down and the glands shut down. So unwinding the adrenals, opening the tailbone sacrum, unwinding the vagus nerve. When the vagus nerve opens, your physiology balances. And on the flip side, your cranial nerves relax and open, which opens up the glands, the parasympathetic glands. The sympathetic, adrenals, glands down here, keep you in the adrenaline linear context of the previous age season. Unwinding and opening up the thymus and glands in the cranium opens into parasympathy. And Stillpoint. The more you are in this state, you start to hold Stillpoint in your life. I tell you, you really want to live with Stillpoint, start tuning, unwinding your glands. All right, so this is key. Again, adrenals first, sacrum, tailbone, occipital ridge. I'm going back to unwind. And I'm working right between the ears and the eye. Right here in the temple. On unwind. You can go over the ear This is also something I learned practicing cranial sacral therapy. Inside, in cranium, I gotta turn it off or else I can't communicate. Inside the cranium is this thing called the sphenoid. And the sphenoid is shaped like a butterfly. It kind of goes like this and it moves. It goes this way, it goes side to side. It's literally free floating in the cranium. And so many people, when they're under stress, the sphenoid gets locked up on one side or like this. When people are relaxed and at ease, the sphenoid's moving gently. It's kind of moving like this. And the reason it's important is that on the sphenoid is the pineal and pituitary glands. So the pineal and pituitary glands rest on the sphenoid, which is why yogis and mystics and shamans and healers say that when you go into sleep, when you go into meditation, when you're resting in stillpoint, the sphenoid starts to vibrate very gently and starts to release different compounds and neurotransmitters from the pineal and pituitary glands. So hugely important right now with whatever's going on in your life to take moments to reset your glands. In my life, if I have a major situation going on, some major situation or a change or something, if I can get this area to unwind and reset, I can process it really fast. It's like, oh, okay, I just have to shift my perception around what's going on with that situation. So really, really helpful and important to take moments to unwind the sphenoid. All right, great. So that is, just to recap once again, when I do that, I'll often go a little bit in here too. I just kind of point. You don't want to stare into the light. Our lasers are decollimated, so they're not high risk situation. You don't want to stare into them. We decollimate the laser beams, so they're not line beams, which is what can be more concerning. Though that said, close the eye and just kind of go around and is really good to unwind the sphenoid and cranium. So that protocol, just to recap, we did the adrenals, we did the sacrum, we did the occipital ridge, and the sphenoid. Everyone take a moment and just reset here. In Stillpoint. I want to show you one or two other glands that to me are pivotal for stabilizing your nonlinear state. The first one is the thymus gland. So after I do an unwinding protocol, before I finish up, I like to use and for me, I really like doing this glandular work. Once I've unwound the adrenals, sacrum, and occipital ridge, and I get into more the alchemy of the subtler yogic glands. I love to use the violet probe for this. And the violet probe right here, I'll often run it on unity. It works great around on the energy field of the body. It's great for emotions. It's great for the aura. I cannot say enough how good violet is for the subtle yogic energy healing work. If you don't have this, I'm on unity right now and I'm working right over the thymus gland. To me, the adrenals are what keep people cycling in the linear condition of the previous age. The adrenals keep people in that state. And when adrenals are going, people process experience through their linear part of their brain. The more you unwind the adrenals, to me, the thymus gland is what keeps people in the nonlinear state. It keeps people in stillpoint. If you want to go through life always responding to life from stress, which is adrenaline, then live in the adrenals. So the practice of doing this protocol, I didn't touch on this. Just like when I showed you earlier to take the laser and unwind, an area. The key is not just unwinding it once. The key is to go back to that area later that day or the next day, unwind it again. Then you go the next day, do it again. Most injury situations, if you unwind every day, once or twice a day, the cells in that area, the tissue, are going to start to say, oh, they can be here or they can be here. You're training things to be back into the neutral state. The key is to train things from being here to unwinding and being here. In my life, most things, if I'm having issue challenge with, if I unwind every day, once, twice a day, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, eventually the cells, the organ, the tissue start to say, hey, we can be relaxed or we can be tense. And they choose staying open, relaxed, and at ease. The same applies to the situation of your glands. If you've trained your physics to always be in adrenaline, 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 well, that's okay. You didn't come in that way. You came in as a baby, totally relaxed and at ease. You were one big gland, totally in equipoise and ease to the universe. And then stress and life trip people out into being in the adrenals. Well, that's okay. Train them to unwind. Open up the thymus gland. The more you open these, the more your body's going to shift. The second key area that I like to work on is in the back of the cervical area. I'm on one called Cohere right now, on the cervical area. Right at the base of the cervical area, there's a gland here called the carotid gland. That's not discussed very often. Yogis understand it. Western anatomy has virtually no reference of it. To yogis, this is a key gland. It's a key gland because yogis say that when this gland opens, you go into what in the East they call the breathless state, which is Stillpoint. As soon as I work on this gland, I drop in Stillpoint. You want to live in Stillpoint? Make sure you unwind your adrenals and sacrum every day, open the vagus nerve, then get your thymus gland and get your, whatever this gland is, the carotid gland. Okay, good. That's the carotid gland. That feels really good. I actually haven't done this gland in the last few days, and doing it right now is like really, 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 really good. Okay, now I want to show you one more point, the tip of the nose. The tip of the nose is a really good point for the pineal and pituitary glands. Yogis say there's a little chakra at the tip of the nose, and if you laser this point, it balances out the pineal and pituitary glands. I tell you, I laser this point. If I'm ever not feeling well, if I feel a cold coming on, when I didn't feel well yesterday and I realized what was going on, I start lasering right here. This point opens up your lymphatic system. It activates your lymphatic system. It activates your heart meridian. It activates your lung meridian. Yogis, Taoists say it activates the energy along the spine, the different nadis, and what they call the currents along the spine, the channels along the spine. Now I'm doing the temples once again. Up here. All right, fantastic. When I finish a session, I always also go around the body. A lot of healers say that people typically hold more stuff in their field. This field of energy has been proven. It's been validated by science now. So they know that the average field for people goes 5-10 feet around the body. And a lot of healers and yogis say that people have blockages and holes and cords connecting to other people. So I'm big into, if you cultivate your body, though also you want to steward and cultivate your field. And I do this real easily with the laser. In a dark room, you can see this 10, 15, 20, 30 feet away, 40 feet away. And don't be shy about this. I do this in airports. I do it wherever I am. And people often look at me like I'm nuts. You know, out in the world says this stuff is all nuts. To the yogi and person who's cultivating their condition, all the stuff people are doing is nuts. Running around like that, going into stores, going here, running here, then, you know, where's the space to slow down and enjoy one's experience? I tell you, if you want to share laser too, I do this out in public. A lot of people look at me like I'm nuts, and that's okay. I get that effect already quite a bit. There's some people that come up though and they want to try it. There's always a yoga person, a healer, a massage therapist, and they come up and they say, oh, what's that? And I always say the same thing. I say, oh, it's healing light. That's all I say. I don't say, oh, it's a laser and it fixes. I don't try to sell. I just say, it's healing light. And they say, oh, can we try? Can I try? And I say, yeah, here. I put it on them. Those are the people that 10 minutes later, they're like, I want one. Can I order one? I'm like, sure, no problem. All right, good. That is, I usually do that work around the field on quantum. I just go around, I go above the body, I go around, I go behind. Quantum is a really good one. I tell you, if all I did was put quantum on people, neck pain, if you're new and sharing with people, put quantum on. You got to not feel like you're coming down with something? On the thymus, quantum. Tip of the nose. You want to do facial? Quantum. You want to work on someone's knee? Put quantum on. Emotion? Quantum. Chakra? You can do everything with quantum. Really versatile, easy, and effective. Okay, I just turned laser off. Check in for a moment. I always check in after I do protocol. What did we do? We unwound, we checked into Stillpoint response. What puts you into linear, nonlinear? Once you know that, you can pick programs really easy. You can pick anything in your life really easy. I use it for food. I use it for everything. Then we did an injury or situation. Then we did the Unwind Protocol. Then we did opening up the new season Glands protocol. New protocol. Thymus, carotid gland, tip of the nose, pineal pituitary, thalamus, and then the very top, the lotus point. Okay? All right, good.